on the gold rush of 1848. The California Gold Rush began on January 24, 1848, when James W. Marshall discovered a gold nugget in the American River. News of Marshall's discovery brought thousands of immigrants to California from elsewhere in the United States and from other countries. James W. Marshall was the first person to find gold in California. He grew up in New Jersey with his three sisters and his parents. He was the oldest of his siblings. Once he was old enough, he headed west and spent time in Indiana and Illinois. He finally decided to settle in Missouri. He began farming along the Missouri River, where he ended up getting malaria. On the advice of his doctor, Marshall left Missouri in hopes of improving his health. He passed through Oregon and then reached California. Soon after he arrived, the Mexican-American War broke out. He volunteered and served under Captain John C. Fremont's California Battalion. Marshall then suddenly lost all his money and his land. He began working for a sawmill. They discovered that the ditch that drained water away from the water wheel was too narrow and shallow for the volume of water needed to operate the saw. He decided that he would have to use the natural force of the river to enlarge the gap. He could only do this at night so he would not endanger the other men. Every morning he would go and examine to see if the gap had gotten any bigger. One morning he was examining the gap when he noticed some shiny flecks in the channel bed. He picked up and examined the pieces. He had a general knowledge of minerals, so he tested the flakes to see what it was. He realized it may be gold. He collected 4 or 5 pieces and went up to tell his friend named Scott. Scott did not believe that Marshall may have found real gold, so he and his crew did some more tests on the flakes. They found out that it was in fact gold, and it was of the finest. At least 23 karat, which is 96% pure. They wanted to keep the discovery a secret, but soon it reached around the world. On the road to California, many people died and got sick from diseases and sicknesses like cholera, mountain fever, and many more. People coming from all over. The 49ers were the first people to rush to the gold fields. They were the residents to California. They had to go through some obstacles on their journey, but not as many as the people coming from all over the U.S. It was not easy to get to California. There are many hardships that they had to face on their way. Approximately half of the travelers came by sea and the other half by land. Most of the 49ers that were from the Midwest or the East traveled on the Oregon-California Trail. Traveling on ship was costly, so many traveled by wagons pulled by oxen or mules, but very few came by horse. Some were afraid of Native Americans attacking them, even though it rarely happens. Others took the Panama shortcut. This made for a quicker route to California by cutting off 8,000 miles in a few months. The trip started off near the Chagres River of the Caribbean coastline. Once they got through all the hardships and reached California, they set up camps. The camps were everywhere, all over the town. People were finding gold everywhere. Once someone found it in a certain area, everyone would go. There were many fights that broke out. People were becoming crazy for gold. They would stop at nothing for it. Even the Native Americans would sometimes attack someone who is alone and who has gold on them. Some people did still find gold and become rich. Others just found flakes. The total amount of gold found was 750,000 pounds. Connecticut Connection. Many people from Connecticut and the Northeast traveled to California to collect gold.